Hey, welcome back to the cave. We are the cave people, and I'm the cave person today. And today I have something for you that I should have done probably a long time ago, but I wanted to give this game its fair due in playtime. So this is a review of Atlas Lost, Rise of the New Sovereigns by Tactical Games. This is a Japanese developer, and the game designer is, I'm not probably going to pronounce this correctly, but Chuo Tatsuka. Tatsuka designed the game. And this is a sort of what I would call tech tree game, where you have different tech trees that you can get access to, and they do different things when you activate them. And you have 3 different ways to win this game. There are what's called tactical points, which are VP. Okay. If you get 30 of those throughout the game immediately ends at the end of your turn. There's something called this influence track over here. And if you advance somehow all the way to the end of the influence track, you would also win the game there. And then the third way the third way you can win the game is through what's called the initiative victory. And if you satisfy certain conditions on each tech track and somehow collect a number of these and then spend all the resources all on the same turn, you immediately win the game as well. So 3 different types of victory conditions. You always play the game with 3 different tech trees. There's culture, economy, religion, military, and science. Those are the 5 tech trees that you have to choose from in the game. You start off with a player board that's over here. What you're seeing here is the end state of a 5-game campaign. So this is the end game. This is what it looked like at the end of the 5th game. This one went a little quickly. The 5th game did, whereas the first 4 kind of took a little while. But there's reasons for that I'll get into in a little while. So you have the player board here with little workers, and your actions. You can put your workers out on the tech tracks and gain access to the different technologies. Here, I don't know how well you can see that, but I guess I'll zoom in a little bit on one of these. So there's a tech tree there that you're looking at. That's the religion track. And at the top here, you have the level 1 technology, and everyone starts with a worker on the level 1, which gets you access to this action. And then you can place 1 worker on either of the 2 level 2 techs there and gain access to either of the 2 level 2 technologies. And then finally, you can go to the level 3. And if you place 1 worker on one of these level 3s, and of course they bleed into each other. So this, for example, this level 2 tech bleeds into these 2 level 3 options down here. You would not have access to that option if you went that route. And you would gain access to activating these during your turn if you would like. Each of the trees has that sort of sequence happening. And the goal of the game is, again, to either gain tech points, influence, or the initiative victory. So that's kind of a brief overview of something that's a little bit complex. You have, let's see, what else can I talk with you about initially here? So on your player board, which I will kind of zoom in over here on my player board a little bit. I know this isn't the best way to do things, but you have your income tracks over here. These are different resources that you can spend, and you'll spend them out on the tech trees to activate those different spots. You have your workers that you'll place out in the tech trees. And then you have your sub boards down here that have to do with each of the different technologies that have been selected for the game. So this is what happens if you have economy in the game. You have these little economy tokens that you can place out on your workers to increase your economy income. This is the culture here. You have these little culture tokens that you can place out to increase your culture income. And then these are your religious figures that you place on other players' boards, so they become your religious followers. So for every tech tree that you have in the game, you will have a sub board as part of your player board that will correspond to the different technologies that you've chosen for the game. So you always have 3, and you choose either 3 at random, or there's a bunch in the book that you can use, the setups in the book that you can use, the campaign book really. And then each player takes One turn at a time, you go around the table, and once someone satisfies one of the 3 victory conditions, the game ends, and the person who satisfied the condition becomes the victor. That's really it. So you're always going to know kind of when the end is coming, and you'll know who wins right then and there. This is not a point salad type of game here. You're going to see what other people are doing, and you're going to try to either mitigate what they're doing or play your own game independently of what they're doing. You could do it either way, but neither is. I don't think either way is the best way to do it. And let's see. So, by the way, when you put your workers on tech trees, you get these little cards too that can help you boost your actions or that sort of thing as well. So I'll explain a basic turn here. The game comes with probably one of the most helpful player guides I've ever seen. So that's the first plus that I'll give it. On one side, you have a bunch of iconography. It's broken up into common concepts, technology, and the different technologies and what the icons mean that you'll see out on the tech boards. And on the other side of the playmat is the game flow. Okay, and this explains exactly what you can do with your turn. So, for example, each player's turn, you have an action phase and an influence phase. The action phase is you're going to take a main action, a command action, and a card play action. So a main action would be like placing a worker out. That would be a main action. Activating a technology spot. That would be a main action. Collecting income. That would be a main action. The command action, this is the tricky one. This is the one that you're going to want to use in the game. You'll gain these little command tokens over here, command resources over here, and you can spend them to kind of activate one of the technologies at the level. So if you want to activate a level 1 technology in addition to already activating, a level 1 technology for your turn, you can spend 1 command and then the resources here to do so. A level 2, you'd spend 2 command. A level 3, you'd spend 3 command. So it's kind of a way to get an extra action out of your turns, and it's highly recommended that you do something with command in the game. Then you have a card play action. So you can either play a card from your hand. You can always discard a card for one of the 2 resource types, either technology or data. Or you can do what's called install a card. So if a card like this card here has an installation price, costs 3 research, 3 purple resources, and then you would install it up here. And then it would give you an ability that you could that's either passive or active that you could use during the game. Passive abilities trigger when the passive action comes up, and then active abilities trigger when they're free actions. You could pay into them and then activate whatever it is. And then after that, you go into what's called the influence phase. So the influence phase is moving along the influence track. Remember, this is one of the victory conditions that you can satisfy. Moving along the influence track requires resources, and along the way, you will also reap rewards of certain spaces. So, for example, these first 2 spaces up here, if you advance 2 of these, you would get 2 command resources. That's a good thing. Further up the track, you could draw a card or gain a command or do other things. The further along you go, the more difficult it is to advance because, it should be. It's one of the ways to win the game. So that is the basic turn structure. And I'll say that they did a great job with the player aid here. And the rule book does a good job explaining the flow of play. The rule book is a bit difficult at times, though, if I'm being fair. It's pretty long, but in the back, it does detail every technology. And the technologies that you'll get for the game, you either set them out at random or, like I said, use one of the presets, but you're never going to see the same setup twice normally. You could play the same setup twice, I guess. But that goes with the combinations of the 5 main tech trees or the actual technologies themselves. These little hex tiles that they're octagons, that you will choose. You get 2 level 2s for each tree and 3 level 3s. So there are, I think, 6 or 8 of each. So for each tech tree. So this is 2 of the 6 culture level 2s. Those maybe don't get played with in the next game, So the variability is good and the replay value is really, really high for this game. So The back of the rulebook outlines all of those very well. It explains the rules well. The setup is easy, and it does do a good job telling you how to win the game and things like that. Some of the things I felt were maybe a little out of order or difficult to find initially. Once I learned how to read this type of rulebook, I was pretty good to go, but it took a little while. And it's not something that, you're going to pick up on the first one. You might want to read the page a time and a half or so, or give it a good glance after you've read it once. Because, these rules, there's a lot going on here, even though the game is very simplistic. Okay. So there are 3 modes of play to the game. You can play the game as a one-shot game where you just play through one time and play for a winner and call it good. And you can do that anywhere from 2 to 4 players. And if you do that, then you would use either a random setup or one that's in the campaign book. You can play this game solo against a bot named Metis, and Metis does a very good job of running itself. There's these little Metis cards that tells you exactly what to do. Depending on the tech trees that are out there, you select from the stack. So, for example, there are 5 cards for each tech tree. This would be the military tech tree, and Metis would have 5 options for military cards. And normally what you do is you take one of these out, shuffle up, and draw 3 or something like that, and that you make up the Metis deck that way. So the Metis deck, you flip it over, it tells you exactly what to do and follow along. Mike Delisio over at Dice Tower did a review of this game playing solo. He enjoyed it a lot, said it was a good solo experience. I'll talk about that too. And then the third way you can play it is, now this is, again, I think you have to buy this. I think it was a separate add-on if I remember correctly, but I just had an all-in Kickstarter. And that is the campaign expansion called Lost Nation. So the campaign, in my opinion, is how the game wants to be played. You play the campaign. There are 3 campaigns in this book, and each of them is played over the course of 5 separate games. Now, that might seem like a lot, but this game can last anywhere from really 25 minutes to about an hour for one playthrough. It's pretty fast, and if you're playing with people that know what's going on, you're going to be racing to the finish in one of these victory conditions, and the tension is very high, and I think that part of it is great. But the campaign is a narrated story, and then there's also what's called branching paths. So after each game, after the first game in each of the 3 campaigns, you have a branching path where the winner of the game chooses which path to go down, and then it will set up a different game for you in the second game. So given that, high replayability, even within the campaign, I've played through 2 of the 3 campaigns, so 10 total games in the campaign. I've played the game 4 times with a play group just as a one-off, and then I've played the game 3 times solo, so total of 17 playthroughs, given everything. And I do fully intend on playing the last campaign, and maybe even playing back through one of the campaigns that I didn't play already. So in the campaign, though, and the reason I think this is how the game wants to work, is because at the end of every game, based on what you did, you're going to earn different little bonuses or tokens or rewards that help you kind of get started in the next game or give you a little bit of a step up for the next game. So what I've noticed the tendency to be in the campaign setting is that the first 2 games go a little bit slow. You're trying to set up what you're wanting to do, what abilities you want to have towards the end of the campaign. And then by the time you get to the 5th game, it's real fast and it's over quickly because everyone's pretty powerful at that point. And you have a good flow, a good sense of what's going on. Within the game itself, there's, I think, 6 mini expansions as well. There's what's called a sub-tech module, where you have your 3 main technologies, but then 1 level 2 and 1 level 3 of one of the tech trees will be made up of what's called a sub-tech. So in this 5th game here, I had culture, economy, religion, but then we had military was a sub-tech from the economy technology tree. So we could have engaged with the military technologies as well and earned some reputation there. I think the sub-tech expansion is very good. I think it fits in certain models, and I think it's something that you should pay attention to. There's another one that's a vehicle module where you can put your guys on top of vehicles, and then when they activate a space or something, they get a discount or they get TP or whatever it is. There are different tokens down here for the economy, the culture, and the religion, and they're just like one special token. For example, the culture token, the fourth one. So when you place your culture token down, you're the only person that can place one on that spot, and then that spot's closed off. But in the culture token mini expansion, it gives you a fourth culture, takes your fourth spot there, and that's one that you can bump off another player or something like that. So the mini expansions are very, very small, and they have a very small impact, but they're all very good and they're well thought out. So that is the basic gist of Atlas Lost. I think this is a game that's under the radar. I really do. The Kickstarter did pretty well, but again, this is a small developer from what I can tell, Tactical Games. This is the only game from Tactical Games that I own currently, but I'll be looking to get more after playing through this one quite a bit. I love this game. I think this is really, really great. If you're a tech tree type person, if you're a solo gamer, I mean, this game plays fantastically solo. Like I said, over at Dice Tower, Mike DeLiso did a video and talked about that, how much fun he had playing this game, and I would say so too. I actually played through one of the entire campaigns solo, and it was great. You can play the campaign solo, and the little meta spot also collects tokens and bonuses and all that stuff. They don't reap the rewards from the bonuses, but they get the extra VP at the end of the campaign for having those slots filled up. And it plays good with a group. So if you have a solid, steady play group that you want to play with, I would highly recommend picking this one up and, possibly picking up the campaign expansion and playing through the campaigns, because that's really where the heart and the soul of the game for me lies. The one-off playthroughs are nice too. I just had one when we did our little cabin con thing up there with 3 of my buddies. 2 of them had played before, and 1 was a new person. And it was a fantastic time. It was a quick game, under an hour, and we got through it, and everybody had a good time. This isn't one that's going to get overly contentious, but the tension is super duper there. You do have some player interaction, not a whole lot of player interaction, not a lot of downtime because your turns are very quick. There's not going to be a lot of AP involved, so you can play this with your AP prone friends. The ones who take 20-minute turns in normal Euro style games, whatever. This game is safe for them. I'm not sure that I would play it as a family game. I've played it with my son in the group one time. He liked the game. He got it very easily, and he's 12, and he understood exactly what was going on in the game. But then it was kind of been a struggle to get him back to the table. So I don't know. I don't know if this is one that I would pick up for my family. But if you're a solitaire gamer, 2 thumbs up for sure. If you are someone who has a play group that doesn't mind playing the same thing a few times over, 2 thumbs up for sure. So, shoot, I didn't link this time I did not link our rating system in the description. That's my fault. But I can drop it in later if you need it. Component-wise, the components of this game are not blow you away. They're not perfect. They're just kind of little wood miniatures, which a lot of people like this sort of thing, which I like too, because they stand up pretty well. The one component that I have a major issue with is the religious monk type things. And you saw right there, I tried to put it down and fell over. These right here are very finicky, and I don't like them, and they don't fit in the slots very well. I wish the game came with a sorter, because that would help with setup. It takes a little while to set this game up, given that there is no organizer in the box. And it takes a little bit to clean up as well. So it does come with a lot of plastic baggies that, I have everything in plastic baggies organized nicely, but an organizer would do this game wonders. I'm sure that someone could, have some files on here for some 3D organizer on the forums or something like that, and I'll be looking for that. But component-wise, I would probably score this somewhere around a 70. I would say that, it doesn't take away from the experience, but it's not really adding much either. I like the inlays of the boards. I like the quality of the cardboard and that sort of thing. I love the artwork. The artwork is great. The campaign book is very nice. It's hard quality hardback here, and the story is very well written. So component wise, it's pretty cool. The theme of the game is that the AI has taken over, and there was kind of like a purge or whatever of humanity, and there are some remaining humans who are trying to figure out what was going on. The artwork on the technologies, on the faction boards, by the way, there's no asymmetry in this game. Doesn't matter what faction you pick, just color and style stuff. I think it's great. I think the story is very well written. I think they did a good job with all of that. I can feel the theme most of the time, like, okay, especially when I'm playing the campaign, it lays the story out for you at the beginning. And you can kind of see, okay, this is why we're playing with culture, economy, religion this time. This is what's happening. And as you're activating these different technologies, you can kind of see the influence. Okay, well, wait, the religious influence is sweeping over the game board here or whatever's happening. So I think the theme, I think they did a good job with the theme. And I would score that somewhere in the 80 range. And then the mechanics of the game, I think, are super duper solid. This game is clean. It works perfectly. There is nothing here that is unbalanced. And that's after 17 playthroughs. I don't think that you can play the game the same way every time. I think you have to adjust play style so it's flexible. Yeah, this is a gamer's game right here. I love it. And like I said, the mechanics and the mechanisms in the game are very well done. Would score somewhere around a 90, maybe even 95. Overall, this game probably comes in at about an 80 for me. So 8.0 out of 10 if you want to do a 10 scale. I think it's very good. It's under the radar. It's certainly in my top 10 for 2024. I'm excited to play it more, and I've already played it quite a bit. So if you are looking for a tech tree type game that's sort of along the same realm as like Beyond the Sun or a game like that, this is your bag right here. There's some engine building, a bit of that, but it's a lot of resource management. And at times you're going to feel resource starved, and you're going to feel like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough time to do what I need to do. And that's kind of the point. It's a tension-driven game. And if you're into that, then this is for you. If you're not, then I would stay away from this one, to be honest. If you're a person that can't handle maybe not being able to do everything that they want to do in the game before the game ended, then you're not going to enjoy this experience too much. But if you're one that can deal with the fast pace and be like, okay, you know what, I can change on the fly, or I can switch what I'm doing, or I can pivot real easily, then this is your type of game. So I highly recommend it, but that's because it fits my style. Sorry if I screwed anything up here. I probably did. I probably made a mistake or two, but trying to get it to you as quickly as I can. And if you like what we do the thing. Again, we're just an independent channel who's really just out here to give you opinions and thoughts, not for any other reason other than we just like doing this and like playing board games. So upcoming content, there were a couple comments on my ARCS review that people would like to see a live playthrough of that. No problem. Just let me know whether you want the campaign or the one-off game, and I'll get a group together that'll do it. I promise we'll find somebody, even the ones that didn't enjoy it. We might force them into it. So, and then go check out our Ezra and Nehemiah review. And again, another really top quality game of 2024. Word Traveler, which is a good family fun game, and Skyrise. I did a review of the deluxe edition of Skyrise. So if you like unmatched content, that's also another thing that you can check out. We do a lot of unmatched content. We don't do a whole lot of teaching and learning of that game. We just kind of play it and try to have some fun with it. So I guess that's it for me for now. This is Atlas Lost, Rise of the Sovereigns. Super duper under the radar. I would like to bring more attention to this game if I can. Again, I'm not a huge channel, but if people can watch and get the word out, this is one that deserves attention. And Tactical Games did a really nice job here. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching as always.